still completing your 6 DBQs assignment in your online textbook. And our subject is imperialism. So this lesson goes with those DBQs. Imperialism, and our objective is to explain the causes and impact of imperialism. With this slide, I want you to analyze this political cartoon. Go ahead and read the description at the bottom of the slide and study the picture, analyze the picture, and then tell me what you notice. I'll give you about a minute and a half to do this, and I am not going to talk. Okay, now hopefully you read the wording at the bottom, which said school begins Uncle Sam to his new class in civilization. Now, Uncle Sam, the character right here, is saying, now, children, you got to learn these lessons whether you want to or not, but just take a look at the class ahead of you. And remember, in a little while, you will feel as glad to be here as they are. Okay. So you notice the picture. Now, on the very big image here is Uncle Sam. Hopefully, that you notice that he represents the United States. Okay. Now, usually in front of the class, they all teachers always put the students that needs more help, or what we call the bad students. So these are the bad students here, and the students are better behaved right here. Okay. So you notice they Uncle Sam's kind of like teaching them more how to be civilized, or the United States teaching them how to be civilized. And these people here already learn it, or starting to learn it, because they have books, English books that they are reading. And these people here just got into the class. They're new students. And you have more students coming in here. Students kind of here over here that's put kind of like in time out and reading, and a student that is working, kind of like being treated as a slave. So you notice probably this symbolize countries that the United States imperialized. And these are the old countries that the United States imperialized, and they are learning the US culture. And like it or not, the United States are forcing them to do that. So what is what is imperialism? Imperialism occurs when a strong nation like the United States take over a weaker nation. So it could be nations in Latin America or in Africa and dominates its economic, political, and cultural life. Now, the time period of this is from 1500s to the 1950s in world history. So that is a lot of time frame going on at that time. What is the causes of imperialism? The strong countries like European countries, and you can include the United States with that, needed cheap raw materials because industrial revolution, hopefully you learned about industrial revolution last year, is going on, and they need raw materials for that to be successful. Also, nationalism. You notice that if you break apart that word nationalism, the first thing you see here is the word nation. Okay. So it means having a pride of your own nation. And having pride of your own nation, sometimes it is good, but sometimes having too much pride, it could be bad that you are kind of putting down other ethnicity, other culture, or other countries or other nations. And the third cause of imperialism is racism. Now, we're all very familiar what is racism is, especially of what's going on in today's society. It existed back then, and it still exists now, and it's a working progress. Along with racism, and why some of that idea develops, is the idea of social Darwinism. Now, you probably heard of Charles Darwin in science class and his idea of only the strong will survive. And Charles Darwin's idea is about species. Obviously, if you look at this picture here, the big bad lion will survive because he's stronger than this little mouse right here. Okay, so it makes sense. But people or racist people turn that idea around and turn it to what is called a social Darwinism, saying that there are stronger culture, ethnicity out there. And they're the one that's going to survive. They're the one that's going to take over weaker people and weaker culture. So again, the causes of imperialism, you need to remember this. They needed raw materials for the Industrial Revolution, nationalism, and racism. And the second objective of today's lesson is what is the impact of imperialism? There's economic growth for the strong nations. Nations were successful because of it, like Great Britain, France, and the United States. And there's competitions now among strong nations. They want to be the best. They want to be number one. And a lot of times this competition will lead to wars. And soon we're going to study world wars. Also, strong nations versus weak nations. Strong nation taking over weaker nations. Again, the idea of nationalism, that thinking that your nation is better than the rest. And also the last impact is cultural diffusion. What that means that you are spreading your culture to other culture. And sometimes they don't want your culture, but you're just doing it. A lot of times in today's society with the social media, culture could spread to another culture very easily now, just like that, because of YouTube, because of TikTok, because of Facebook and Twitter. So that is the impact of imperialism. Economic growth for strong nations, competition among strong nations, strong nation versus weak nation, and cultural diffusion. For the following slides, I need you to study the maps here. This is the colonial takeover in Southeast Asia in the early 1900s. And also study this map right here. Okay. Now, what you're going to do, since this is in Google Drive, and I'm going to share this slide also with you along with this presentation, make a copy of it so you can fill out this chart. For example, in Southeast Asia, which European nations and the United States took over Southeast Asia, which one took over Africa, India, Latin America. Just put an X on it. Again, you got to go back and study the two maps or two slides before. Again, I'm also going to share that slides with you so you can answer this after you listen to my lecture. Also, with this picture, I want you to analyze this political cartoon and answer this question: what is the white man's burden? Now, it's going to help you to answer this question by analyzing this political cartoon, but also by clicking on this. Again, I'm going to share this slide with you. It's a poem called The White Man's Burden. I want you to read that, analyze it, and that will help you answer this question of what is the white man's burden. Again, once I share you this slide, make a copy of your own so you could edit and do the chart and answer this question. Meanwhile, let me know if you have any questions, and have a nice weekend.